We're ready, Mark. Thanks. Excellent. Okay. Thank you, everybody. As folks get logged in for the meeting today, we're going to start the afternoon with a guest presentation from Kirk Schultz, WSU President, and Elizabeth Chilton, Provost and Executive Vice President and Chancellor for WSU. Kirk, we're going to turn this over to you.
Great. Well, Doug and everybody, thank you.
I think you might be muted. Hang on.
Doesn't say mute.
There we go. Problem was on our end. We got her. Thank you.
Okay, good. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And thanks for giving us a few minutes at the beginning of the meeting just to provide a few updates. And first, as I always try and do, let me thank all of you for your service on the Faculty Senate. I know you all have many things that are tugging at your time commitments with teaching, scholarly work, service commitments, family life, all those things. And so I appreciate your time working together on shared governance and working to move WSU forward. So we have it's not a slide presentation, it's really a slide with some bullet points. And so I'm going to ask Ginger if she could to share the screen and post that. Okay, next slide, please, Ginger. All right, and so Elizabeth is going to do the first 2 points. I'm going to do the next 3, and then we want to allow ample time for questions and answers. So Elizabeth, let me turn it over to you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for giving us a chance to give you a couple of updates. We are going to be sending out a comprehensive overview for the WSU system on where we've landed for this fiscal year and our anticipated budget scenario going into the new fiscal year. This is an update we will share with the Board of Regents in May. But while we're putting that together, just to give you sort of a sense of what's coming, we'll present you with an overview of where our enrollments are and how that has affected our budget. But also, I know you've had some discussion on the HERF funding and where we've spent those funds that have come in for lost revenues related to COVID. So we'll give you an overview of that in the university-wide message, and then talk about the funds that are available through the state for salary increases, as well as the portion of our own state funds that we intend to add to that pool so that we can do the maximum of across the board salary increases that we can. But then there's a couple of things that we will add to that. We have held aside $1 million of our own funds to establish a faculty salary equity process. And Laura Greiner Hill has been working on putting together a draft. We've begun to socialize that both with Faculty Senate Executive to just give a comprehensive look as to what do we want to do. And a couple of things I want to say is that while we have $1 million now, that sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money in base funds, but it's not nearly enough to do the kind of long-term equity review and remediation. So really what we want to do is set up a process that we can use every year. And that each year, whether it's state funds that come in through a new appropriation or whether it's our own funds that we're able to identify, whatever we do, we're putting eyes on equity going forward in perpetuity. So we're looking at things like evaluating the data by department, by rank, by years in rank, by location on campus, and really giving good eyes at the department and college and provost level to make sure we can start to make adjustments and just work through those. It'll be a multi-year effort, so it isn't something that we're going to do one and done, but we feel that it's really important to reduce those equity gaps over time. Another another part of this is that we'll discuss the need to build a strategic initiatives process. Those of you who have come to the presentations that Stacy and I've been giving broadly for the Executive Budget Council, you'll know that we've identified one of the needs is to create a strategic initiatives pool. We currently do both, out in the schools and colleges, but also centrally, we do make strategic investments, but there isn't an identified pool per se that we have transparency on what those investments are and who has an opportunity to make a request. So we'll be doing that going forward. We'll discuss that in the memo a little bit, and that will include developing a program and process for faculty startup. This is something that I have certainly heard loud and clear over the past 2 years, and it is a perennial issue where we don't have sufficient central funds to add to what colleges have for faculty startup. And so we often are not being strategic about recruiting and setting faculty up for success. So I'm going to be working on that with Chris Keene, and we'll be coming out to you with drafts of a faculty startup program, but utilizing university-wide resources in order to do that. So those are two things, both the faculty salary equity process and the faculty startup, both of which will be coming back to you, hopefully initiating those processes in August of 22.
Great, thank you. And I will one of the reasons you say, well, why aren't you just telling us this stuff today, is what winds up happening is we sort of get a half story. We got a couple things here and a couple things there. People have questions. So we're really working to try and make sure that we have a comprehensive update that really pulls all this stuff together into one package so that people can see where we're proposing to spend our money, how it's going to support you all as faculty, how it's going to support our staff and students. And I think, once that comes out, there'll always be other questions that people have. And Elizabeth and I and Stacy are committed to, finding ways to answer questions that'll come out once we put out that particular communique. 3 items that I'd like to just touch on briefly in the next few minutes is, there's certainly a renewed interest around our campuses with regard to the investment in fossil fuels and other types of things that fall under the broad area of sustainability. I had the opportunity to talk with some folks at other institutions, and this is kind of going on nationwide. And as we look at best practices, particularly on the West Coast, one of the things that came up is people said, well, what's the university's sustainability plan as a system? And it came down to, we've got a lot of you, some on this, on the Faculty Senate, some in other places, that we do a lot of work in the sustainability area, but it's not kind of all pulled together, and there's not a clear set of principles. We haven't addressed what do we want to do as a system with our carbon footprint, those types of things. So what it came down to is, instead of doing bits and pieces, what we need to do, and what I'm proposing to do, is put together a task force of faculty, staff, and administrators to really come up with a set of principles around where we would like to be as Washington State University in terms of sustainability moving forward. I had great plans to get all this started this month. Probably like all of us, we're kind of hanging on for dear life as the semester coming to an end. And specifically on a leadership point of view, we've asked to not, let's not start new things or new initiatives until we get through the semester and give people a little bit of a chance to breathe. So I thought we might get this going at the end of this semester, and I've just revised that timeline to really starting this during the summer. And certainly open to suggestions on this. There's nothing baked, there's no list of people yet, but I just want to let everybody know this is something that I think it's time for us to take more formally as a system. And then each campus and each location within the system will have their own set of sustainability goals and objectives within this overall framework for our system. The second thing is, I'm spending a lot of time on the road. Any of you follow me on Instagram or Twitter know, I'm gone a lot. The good news is, well, my wife likes the fact I'm gone a lot, but the good news really is that we're going out, we're visiting with Cougs and people that have affiliation with WSU that have a lot of resources and want to help us. And so some of that is we can't wait for people to come to Pullman or Vancouver or one of our campuses. We need to go see them where they are. And that includes people in Florida, Texas, Nebraska, all those places. But we've already raised a little over $120 million this year. To put in perspective, last year, that was our total for the whole year. And we still got about a quarter to go. And we have a real chance to eclipse our record set in the last year of the campaign. The good news is a lot of these gifts, including a major gift announcement we'll make in the next 2 weeks, are going to help with things like academic infrastructure, new chairs and professorships, and things that help and are important for you all as faculty to do the jobs that you do with our students. So we're completing this year, year one of what will be a 10-year fundraising campaign. We won't be talking about how much we're trying to raise or anything, but over the next academic year, we're going to focus on what are the real key areas as an institution that we feel we need to invest in to make sure that we're looking towards our future. Finally, just a little comment on the 2022 legislative session successes, and we had many. It's a short session, which normally means there's not a lot of money at play. That was not the case this particular year. The state budget was very healthy, and we really had 3 items in particular that were our primary ask. The first was for a salary increase pool, and we'll provide more details on that next week in that particular memo. But we did receive enough money for a 1.7% increase for all faculty and staff in that. Then we're going to supplement that with additional resources. We also had an opportunity to work together with our colleagues at the University of Washington and ask for some startup funds for a couple residents in the School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, dealing with the complexities of medication for people with really severe mental illness. And we'll have 2 of these that'll be in Eastern Washington, 1-year residents. We'll have 2 that'll be associated with the University of Washington in that Seattle area. The legislature loved the fact that it was the 2 research universities in the state asking together for something, particularly in the health sciences, given the history we had and the battles we had, if you will, when we established our College of Medicine. We also had a large ask at the governor's request in cybersecurity. We did not receive everything we asked for, but we did receive money to hire faculty and establish a program in the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture at 3 campus locations here in Pullman, on our Tri-Cities campus, on our Everett campus. We also had the ability and were asked to submit some proposals for capital. And one of the projects and one of the things that got funded was some additional and new compact storage for the Holland Library. Compact storage, if you're not familiar, is a way to utilize space more effectively with really some high technology storage. We had that in my previous institution, and it was really quite helpful, but it's also not cheap. And so we got several $1 million, I believe, and Elizabeth, you can correct that number to get some compact storage. So all in all, a successful legislative session, excuse me. And as we look to 2023, our top priority, once again, will be compensation. You all are doing a great job. You're working hard. We're going to be able to make some adjustments this year, which is great, but we've got to be able to do it for multiple years on a consistent basis, along with equity and other types of pools of resources. And that's going to be our number one thing that I'm going to start working on. Believe it or not, you can say, well, that's a long ways away, Kirk. I'll do my first set of visits with elected officials next month. So it's a year-long process. We always focus on during the legislative session, but the hard work is really done with Colleen Kerr, Chris Mulick, Glenda Becker, myself, and our chancellors and deans. Is really done during the off session when the legislature is not meeting. So that represents, I think, kind of 5 key items that we just wanted to make sure that we addressed. And at this time, Doug, I think both Elizabeth and I happy to take any questions that you all might have. And I think we can stop screen sharing now. And what's on your mind and what kind of things can we answer? And if we don't get to something, what we want to do is we told Doug in advance, he can submit some written stuff to us and we'll make sure we get those answered if we don't get to everybody's question.
Thank you very much, Kirk and Elizabeth. And yes, just again, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll facilitate those communications if I can. Floor is open. Senators, do you have questions? Any questions? Yes, Luke.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us and with this update. President Schultz, I had a question for you that has come to me from a few of my constituents. I'm Luke in CIS. And it has to do with something you mentioned at the last faculty senate meeting that you joined us in September. You had seemed to agree that it was important for us to put in place some kind of repayment plan for the internal debt that has accumulated from the athletic department's spending. And you had suggested then that we would have a plan like that, or that you'd be able to announce it by the end of the fall semester. That has passed now, and as far as I know, we don't have a plan in place. And I've had a few constituents, ask me about that, as if I could give them some more information, and I can't, unfortunately. So I was wondering if for them you could answer where that is at the moment, and when we can expect to see that plan, now that it's been a few months after we thought we might have one. Thank you.
No, Luke, thank you. And I'm not surprised you brought that up. So thanks for making sure that we keep that on front burner. The bottom line, I just didn't get it done. I mean, that's I can make all kinds of excuses, but I got really busy and lots of things are happening, like with all of you all, and I just didn't spend much time on that past September. The good news, though, I think that is important is that this year, when we present the athletics budgets to the region, it will be a balanced budget for the first time in a decade. And I think that's really important first step, because you got to stop overspending if you're going to at least make that particular set of investments. We also have a new Pac-12 media contract coming up in the next 18 months that I think will provide some enhanced revenues where how we're going to build up some reserves for athletics and start that debt repayment are important. So if you accept the reasoning behind me just not getting it done, what we'll do is it will certainly take this back up in the fall, and because this isn't going away, and I appreciate you continuing to bring it up, as well as others have the same concern, and this will be a fall of 2022 project, and we'll get it done. We got to. So
Okay, thank you for the answer and the update.
Thank you. John Barber asked through chat, will the pay increase include graduate students?
Yes. It's all faculty and staff.
Cheatham?
Thank you, President, and for your presentation. Actually, I think the Sustainability Task Force is an excellent idea, and it's timely. And I guess they will develop like a growth management plan, like the cities are tasked to do on a regular basis. Do you have an idea where do other universities in the state stand, like UW or Central Washington? Do they have such plans in place, and what does it look like?
So there'll be some of you on here that know more about some of this than I do. I'm just going to admit that right up front. I know the University of Washington has been very progressive at putting some of this forward. And so, I think there's lots of excellent plans out there. Many of you have colleagues at other institutions where you could say, hey, this is what institution X, Y, and Z is doing, and we should look at that. So to me, this is the part I love about doing planning work in academia is people are more than willing to share what they're doing and what's working and what's not. And that's what I want to do. The plan I've spent the most time looking at is probably Arizona State's. And that's because I met somebody that was involved with it, not because it's the best plan. But they've got a really nice website. They list things out. It's used frequently in different aspects of the university. And so, I'd love suggestions from you all on places that you think we need to look at, not just in the Pacific Northwest, but around the country that you say, hey, if we're going to do something, boy, it'd be great if we had something similar to what this is. And let's use those best practices. So thanks for the question.
Bert, go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry, I won't use video because I'm driving, actually riding, not driving, but apologize for that. I had two things I just wanted to comment on. Number one is that I think it is terrific, and I think there's a lot of people that would appreciate continued work on any salary increases or equitable salary increases that are going forward, especially with what's going on with a lot of inflation and a number of increased payment that a lot of people get outside of academia. That is sometimes frustrating to hold on to our best faculty and our best friends that we're working with. So I appreciate that that's going to be a focus going forward. And then secondly, I need to probably do my research a little bit better, but it's my rough understanding that there's some salary minimums that would be applied to postdocs coming down the pipeline in the next few years that are salary
Bert?
set by
Hey,
the
Bert?
states. Yeah.
Can you speak slowly and loudly and clearly on your question, because we can't hear you?
Oh, well, maybe just write it in then later. I apologize.
Okay. Thank you, Bert. Other questions?
Chat.
Troy Peters has expressed a similar, some statistics in the chat describing the growing issues with salary and also thanking you for working to catch us up. So I don't believe there's a question there, but there is some interesting information.
Yeah, Troy, thank you for pointing that out. And we are aware of that, of those unfortunate numbers. And thank you for, I'm not trying to be lighthearted about this. I mean, it's inflation was just not a major issue for a long time, and it is now a huge issue. And so I think we've got to work really hard on being creative to find ways to catch back up so that even with increases over several years, that people's buying powers can be decreased, which comes across as a pay cut. And so this is something we're aware of, and we're going to chip away at it and just be persistent. One important thing with the legislature this year is this came out of the last recession, where the legislature would say, we're going to give you X percent of for a salary increase, but they'd only fund, about half of it and expect the university to come up with the rest. Well, that's not how they would announce it, but that percentage of how much the state actually pays versus the university has to pay, we switched that by almost 10 percentage points up this last year. And again, our government relations team did a great job in this. That's another high priority that's not, maybe we don't wave the flag as much on that being successful, but in the next legislative session, a lot of legislative leaders are now aware of that split and the fact that we need to continue to have the state invest more. And that just allows us to do more with our own resources on top of that. So anyway, thank you for pointing that out. I know we've heard this from multiple people, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Alan.
Yeah, thank you, President Schultz. I think I know where Bert Tanner was going with his question, so I'll continue to ask it. The state of Washington has an escalating salary range for postdocs that doesn't align with what federal grants will budget. Do you have any insight on what WSU or the state of Washington is doing to deal with that situation?
Yeah, Doug Call has brought this up several times, and it's regular on our faculty senate meeting time. We are also talking to the University of Washington. This is not just a WSU issue, it's also with them. And we want to work together on what we can do to solve this. It seemed like it was a long ways away not too long ago, and boy, it's coming up really fast. So all I can say is we're aware of it. We're talking to UW, and we understand that this is going to cause some severe issues if we don't come up with a better solution. So I don't have a specific answer, but to know that it's on our radar screen and we are working on that.
Thank you.
About 5 minutes left. If anyone has any additional questions.
You know, Elizabeth's getting bored. Somebody needs to ask her something.
Ask me something about the budget, the budget council. Well, I will just say that you may have just received in your email inboxes, like in the last few minutes, that we're going to have open forums for presentation and receiving Q&A on where we've gotten so far with that new budget model, and more importantly, the governance process by which we use the data from the model to make informed decisions with regard to both allocation of revenues and costs. And so Stacy and I are coming to a Zoom screen near you, and we've already been doing that in several focus groups for AFOs and deans and the president's cabinet. And now we're having these open forums so that we can get the feedback, adjust the model, and try to get something in place so that we can run it in parallel starting in the next fiscal year, so that we can run it in parallel to our current system, so that we can see how it's working, how it would better be served, and make some adjustments as we go forward in the next fiscal year. So we will be setting up a website where we've been collecting the FAQs so far, but we will certainly get more after the open forums. And I suggested to Doug Call that if Faculty Senate, either individuals or the Senate as a whole, have more questions, that we can put them on the FAQ website that we're putting on the EBC in the Provost's office. So just stay tuned for that, and please do attend if you can one of those 3 sessions, and give us your feedback.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And we also have a session with you next Thursday.
That's right. That's right. We got a
Yep,
full hour and a half. So thank you for
Yep.
those of you who are able to join that.
And we'll be recording that as well, so it'll be available to everybody.
Perfect.
We'll be reserving Q&A on that for senators on that particular meeting. So anything else, folks? We're down to about 2 minutes.
Well, we also are looking forward to welcoming our first official faculty representative to the Board of Regents. And we've supported that bill every year as it's come up. And I think I felt, as did some of the other members of our leadership team, it was important to get a faculty voice on the Regents prior to having any kind of legislative thing. So to me, it's just a step forward, but for us, it's just a small one. Some of the other institutions are a little more concerned about how all this is going to work. And I can tell you the Regents have enjoyed having our previous Faculty Senate presidents, our chairs, excuse me, on there and in the room. And I just think it's, taking our shared governance, hopefully, to absolutely the next level. So I think that's going to be fun for us to put together. And I look forward to continuing to lead in the state on how to do this. And thank you very much for everybody's attention today. So Doug, we'll turn it back over to you. And if there's anything that people didn't sometimes want to ask verbally, send it to Doug. He can scrub it, and we'll make sure we get some written responses back to anything that comes up. And then after we get all the stuff out next week on the memo, there'll probably be other questions. And, do not hesitate to reach out and let us know your thoughts or questions or concerns that you might have on any of these things. It's our job to help bring forward solutions. So thanks. Have a good meeting today.
Thank you very much, Kirk. Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Have a
All
good
right,
meeting.
folks.
Take care.
Thank you. All right. Folks, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. First order of business is approval of minutes from March 24th, 2022 Faculty Senate meeting. Are there any changes or modifications that folks need for the minutes? Hearing none, we'll consider those approved and move forward. Information items. Information item 1 is the proposed faculty senate meeting schedule for 2022 to 23 academic year is now posted. See exhibit 199. Senators who are continuing forward with us, please make sure you get those on your calendar. Steering is typically the Thursday before then, but we'll get that out to steering in particular as well. Faculty Senate officers met with the president, the provost on April 6th. That was yesterday. We had some additional in-depth conversations over the material that you heard today. And item number 3, Faculty Senate will report to the Board of Regents on May 6th. So in about another week and a half, I'll be putting that report together. Faculty Senate will be, and then as we mentioned before, we'll have that budget meeting on April 14th. If you are uncertain how to connect with that, please reach out to me or Anna, and we'll make sure you have all that information available to you. Quick remarks. First of all, foremost, I want to express our appreciation for the service of all outgoing 2022 faculty senators and committee members. You know, guys, when I started this job, it was kind of partly out of a sense of wanting to give back to the institution and curiosity and how it all works. But more important thing I could walk away with is just how wonderful it's been to work with everybody. I mean, this is where people who really care about the institution gather together to solve problems, and it's been an honor to work with you. And it's been, I just want to put that as a exclamation point on that appreciation for the service for all the outgoing members. So thank you very much for all you've been doing, and you're always welcome back. Also, for your information, there's an updated faculty concerns and activities table. When you do look at that, I call your attention to the first row regarding the 12-month appointments, or less than 12-month appointments being paid across 12 months. Working on some solutions with Matt Skinner on that. So that's actively underway, and I wrote a blog on it, just giving you some more feedback. If you have additional questions, reach out to me in particular, but we have some, I think, some good solutions coming forward faster than they can do with Workday. So that will be hopefully welcome and useful to you. Okay, moving on to additions or changes to the agenda. Tammy Berry.
Yes, I have one addition and one suggested change. The addition is that we have a working memo for a 5th information item from the Research and Arts Committee that had some last minute changes coming from the Office of Research. And so I'm going to send that updated memo to Anna to have listed in the information items as a 5th item so that it'll be included in the minutes. And it's just a bulletin of approvals and statuses of reports over the last year. And then my suggested changes, I would like to motion to move all of today's action items, all of today's discussion items to action, given that this is our last meeting of the academic year.
Do I have a second? Gina?
A second.
Second.
Okay, multiple seconds. Thanks, everybody. Any discussion?
Got it first.
Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll. Let me find it. All right, poll is launched.
Poll is launched.
And reminder, only senators vote, right?
And yes, reminder, only senators vote.
All right, we have 45 approve and 1 reject.
Okay, motion passes. We will move discussion items 1 through 9 into action items 11 through 19. Any other changes? None? We'll move forward with action items. So for action item number 1, I wish to call upon Becky Bitter, if you would not mind reading this, as is tradition.
Sure. First of all, I just have to say thank you to all of you. I had to laugh when President Schultz says this time of year is like hanging on for dear life. It's really true. But let me just extend appreciation to you, all of those who work with undergraduates and professional students. There are over 4,200 of them who are up for the spring graduating class. So your work just, who knows what it means? But it is so, so good. So with that, I'm going to read the longest sentence in the world. I move that the university faculty recommend to the president and the Board of Regents that effective the closing dates for each graduating class, those undergraduate and professional students who have completed degree requirements and whose names remain on the official list of degree candidates be advanced to the degrees set above their names as members of the classes of May 22, August 22, and December 22.
Thank you very much, Becky. Now, this isn't an actual motion. This is just a vote.
This is something that's voted on. It's a recommendation from the faculty.
Okay, so we
So I
will,
will launch the poll.
we will launch a
Do we need a
poll.
second?
No,
Poll is launched, folks.
ceremonial but formal. Okay, we have 46 approve and 0 reject.
Excellent. So action item number 1 is passed. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 2, approval of graduate degrees. And as is tradition, I'm pleased to ask Dean Lisa Gloss to present this.
First, I'll go off record and join with Becky in saying thank you very much to all the members of the Faculty Senate for all that you've done to help graduate education, both for the students, the graduate school, and the graduate faculty. Thank you again for all of your hard work. And I would like to move that the university faculty recommend to the president and the Board of Regents that effective at the closing date for each graduating class, those graduate students who have completed degree requirements and whose names remain on the official list of degree candidates be advanced to the degrees set above their names as members of the classes of the May 2022, August 2022, and December 2022 classes.
And we will launch a poll. Thank you.
Poll is launched. Okay, we have 44 approve, 0 reject.
Okay, action item number 2 is passed. And again, I'd like to thank Dean Gloss for all of her service and efforts on behalf of our graduate students as well. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 3, PHSC proposal to create the new degree, Master of Healthcare Administration and Leadership. And John Mattoon is here if there are any last questions. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
And the poll is launched. We have 44 approve, 0 reject.
Action item number 3 is passed. Thank you very much. Action item number 4, Professional Health Sciences Major Change Bulletin number 3. And again, John is here if there are any last minute questions. Hearing none, we'll launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 45 approved, 0 reject.
Action item number 4 is passed. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 5 from AAC Undergraduate and Professional Major Change Bulletin number 9. Are there any questions here? Elsa is here if you need more information.
Elsa herself.
I raised my hand. I just wanted it. Oh, can you all listen to me?
Yep.
I just wanted it to follow up on Cheatham's question about the difference between the certificate and the minor for the eco arts. This is only 15 credits, which is the minimum required for a certificate. If this was to be a minor, it needs to have an additional credit. And also for it to be a minor, it requires a minimum number of upper level credits, which that's not necessarily for the degree. And I just wanted to add that up to the conversation that we had last week. And hopefully, Cheatham, if you have any other questions, I'll be more than happy to reply to them.
Thank you for that follow-up, Elsa.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none, we'll launch a poll for action item number 5.
Poll is launched. Uh, 44 approved, 0 reject.
Action item number 5 is passed. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to action item number 6 from GSC, Graduate Major Change Bulletin number 9. And Gary's here. Erica might be as well. Let's see.
Erica's here.
Okay, Erica's here as well. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. $43 approved, 0 reject.
Excellent. Action item number 6 is passed. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to action item number 7, faculty manual updates to sections 3G and 1B regarding emeritus faculty appointments. And Judy is here if you have any questions or comments. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. And we have 41 approve and 2 reject.
Action item number 7 has passed. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 8, recommendation to approve the 2022 new faculty senate committee members. And Christine Horn is here if you have any questions. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 45 approved, 0 reject.
Action item number 8 passes, and our thanks to Christine for marshaling a major improvement in our membership methodologies and successes, and for everybody who's willing to volunteer. All right, moving on to action item number 9, Yakima Consortium Draft Memorandum. And I'm here, and I've invited Daryl DeWald in case there are any additional follow-up questions. Okay, hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have a 44 approve and 1 reject.
Thank you. Action item number 9 has passed. Thank you for attending, Daryl. Moving on to action item number 10. Proposed procedure for nominating inaugural candidates for the WSU faculty regent position. And I'm happy to address any questions or concerns before we poll. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 44 approve, 0 reject.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Action item number 10 is passed. And just a quick note that with your passage, we will try and get this to the governor's, on its way to the governor's office as early as this coming Monday, so that there's no delay on our side of the table. Okay, thank you again. Moving on to action item number 11. Recommendation from Faculty Senate Steering Committee to carry out all necessary functions of Faculty Senate during the period of May 16, 2022 through August 15, 2022. Are there any questions or discussions? Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 44 approve, 0 reject.
Action item number 11 has passed. Thank you very much, everybody. Action item number 12, graduate major change bulletin number 10. And Gary and Erica are here if there are any questions or concerns. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Pardon me. Poll is launched. Forty-four approve, 0 reject.
Action item number 12 has passed. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 13, revise the MS in nutrition and exercise physiology. And Gary and Erica are here if there are any questions or concerns. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 43 approve, 0 reject.
Action item number 13 has passed. Moving on to action item number 14, revise the PhD in nutrition and exercise physiology. And Gary and Erica are here if there are any questions or concerns. Hearing none, we'll launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 45 approve, 0 reject.
Action item number 14 is passed. Moving on to action item number 15. Addendum 1, undergraduate and professional major change bulletin number 9. And Elsa is here if there are any questions or concerns. Hearing none, we'll launch a poll. Oh, John Barber.
I'm sorry. Elsa, I wonder if you could say something about the DTC 202 course. I noticed that you have COM associated with that. Exactly what is the connection meant to be?
I don't know. We don't get that information on the justification. Perhaps Becky may know because she has the document where the department provides it. Dini, I can see your hand up.
Denise.
I can't speak to that. That course is it was meant to be put through earlier, but it was delayed. And it is meant to be a course with a COM UCOR addition so that students can count this for UCOR, for COM. And it does address the issues that COM would be interested, would correlate to COM. I was aware of this and I have not had a chance since I'm on sabbatical. I wasn't able to let the faculty know on my campus yet. So sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
both of
Dini.
And thanks, Dini.
And thank you for your willingness to continue showing up on sabbatical. John, did you have any follow-up on that or are you good? Okay. Any other questions on action item number 5?
15.
15, my apologies. Yes. All right. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
All right. It's relaunched. Okay, we have 42 approve, 1 reject.
Action item number 15 has passed. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 16, undergraduate and professional major change bulletin number 9. And Elsa is here if there are any questions.
This
or
time it's
concerns.
addendum number 2. So it's extra.
Addendum number 2, my apologies. Yes, addendum number 2, undergraduate professional major change bulletin number 9. Questions or concerns? Thanks, Matt. Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. Forty-three approve, 0 reject.
Action item number 16 is passed. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 17, admissions subcommittee update. And are there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. Forty-three approve, 0 reject.
Action item number 16, excuse me, no, 17 has passed. And I want to shout out to Christine Horn for her efforts, tenacious efforts to make sure that was up in time for you to look to consider. Moving on to action item number 18, syllabus subcommittee composition and tenure update. Are there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 45 approved, 0 reject.
Action item number 18 is passed. Thank you. Moving on to action item number 19. Discontinue Master of Education in Educational Psychology. And Gary and Erica are here. Are there any questions or concerns? Chiquita?
So this master is going to be discontinued, but what is replacing it?
I do not believe anything is replacing it. No one's enrolled in it right now.
And I can speak to that a little bit. That we have the Masters of Arts with thesis and a non-thesis option. So that's actually replaced.
Okay. Thank you, Phyllis.
Sure.
Thanks for the question, Cheatham. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, we will launch a poll.
Poll is launched. We have 47 approved, 1 reject.
Action item number 19 is passed. That concludes our 19 action items. Record time. Thank you, folks. Again, if you have any questions or concerns that pop up that we need to think about, don't hesitate. And I wanted to relay a chat message here from Vaughn, thanking the 4 candidates for being willing to serve as your faculty regent. And I just want to echo that. Thanks. We are open to constituent concerns. John?
Yes, thank you. I had an opportunity to express the one constituent concern that I was primarily tasked with today, and that was to inquire about the potentiality for pay raises for graduate students. So thanks for that information. But speaking in advance for responses that I would expect from my constituents regarding notes that I'm taking here, I was somewhat concerned with President Schultz's blithe blow off of a major debt concern because he was too busy. Certainly I understand he's busy. We're all busy, but we're all concerned about a university being in debt and going forward in debt. And I would like to encourage on the behalf of my constituents that Faculty Senate continue poking that issue. And let's get some action, and let's get something put down that will be a definite order of proceeding into the future so that we're not faced with an incredible debt package again if we can help it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And we'll ensure that that's on our agenda for our next meeting with the president, the provost, just to continue, as you say, keeping that on the front table. Eric?
Hi, yeah. For those senators who can't attend the budget proposal model meeting, what is that, next 2 Thursdays from now? Can you send out the link of the recording? Are you going to do that, or is it just going to be posted somewhere?
We're definitely getting it on YouTube, and we'll certainly make sure that's made available.
And it is linked on it's linked on the front page of the Faculty Senate website.
Okay, but so that link will go to the recording as well?
We'll make sure the recording is.
We'll make sure it's linked when it's ready. Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out, Eric.
And it's actually next Thursday is when the meeting will occur.
Yeah. Other constituents' concerns? Okay, folks.
I've got one.
Oh.
I want to personally thank Doug Call for the job he did serving as the chair of the Faculty Senate this year. We have many outstanding Regents professors here at Washington State University, and for one of them to take the time and serve in this capacity means a heck of a lot to the faculty at this institution. He demonstrated the Regents professor work ethic, and his tenacity was extraordinary. So on behalf of the faculty here at Washington State University and on behalf of the entire WSU community, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Cheatham. Oh, that's not a flag. It's gotcha. Thought you had your hand up. Like that never happens. All right. Unless there's anything else, I formally adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
4:30.